Okay, so this is just a video summary of our lesson on ear training, and this is sort of an introduction to ear training. And what you want to think about is the four elements involved in ear training, four things you're actually physically and mentally doing. So there's the kinesthetic element, which is actually playing the instrument. There's the conceptual element, like knowing that this is a C and it's a C sharp. That's a construct, right? Identifying in an abstract sense. The third thing is the visual, actually being able to not know just what a C and C sharp are, but what they look like on the piano and visualizing that. And then the fourth, which is the hardest for many people, which is being able to hear that relationship. Now we're working on this idea of relative pitch, which is different than perfect pitch. Perfect pitch is something that very few people can do, which is if somebody says, "What note is this?" and the person can't see the note I'm playing, they would say, "Oh, that's a G." I can't do that, most people can't do that, and almost all musicians can't do that. What most musicians can do, most professional musicians, is if you say the starting note is G, and I'm going to play a note below it, the musician would say, "Oh, that's an E." How are they able to tell that's an E? Well, it's something called relative pitch. Relative pitch is essentially where you are hearing the interval, which is just the musical term for the distance between two notes. So they can hear that particular distance between G and E is a minor third, which we'll get to in a bit. So there's only four intervals I want us to really focus on right now. The first is a half step, which you already know visually, right? Just the notes that are next to each other. Another name for a half step is a minor second. And so we would say C to D flat. You might be thinking, why not C to C sharp? Well, you're thinking about the musical alphabet. C to D, right? That's two. They're a step apart. Right? So we have two types of seconds, a half step, which is a minor second, and a major second, which is basically a whole step. You can also think about it just a half step plus a half step equals a whole step. You can go either direction with these intervals. So I can have a minor second ascending, or if I'm starting on C, a minor second descending, which is going down. Right? Same thing with whole steps or major seconds, whole step ascending, or whole step or major second descending, right? Same exact pattern. Then we have the two types of thirds. And there's actually another type of third, but we'll get to that later. But the ones I want us to focus on now are minor thirds and major thirds. A minor third is this formula. It's a whole step plus a half step. So if I'm starting on C, you say, what note is a whole step above C? That note. Okay, what's a half step above that note? Well, whole step plus a half step gives us a minor third. And you can go either direction. So going the opposite direction, what's a whole step below C? Right? What's a half step below that? So a minor third above C would be E flat. Again, C, D, E flat. We won't go C, D, D sharp. That's only two. It's not a third. So C, D, E flat. That's three. Same thing going the opposite direction. Right? C, B flat, A. Right? Okay, and then finally we have a major third, which is just whole step plus a whole step. So a whole step above C would be E. A whole step below C would be A flat. Again, C, D, E, C, B flat, A flat. Now that's the easy part. That's just the conceptual side. Being able to hear it and practicing getting to where you can hear it via ear training involves a few exercises. The easiest thing to do is just, and we'll start with, let's say, a major third. The first thing you do is you say, okay, can I play these notes? And you don't sing, you don't really think about it, you just listen to it and sort of internalize the sound. This is the sound of not just C to E, but the sound of a major third. And when you get comfortable with that, then you can sing along and you can go, major third, right? And then you do that, and then once you get comfortable with that, the next step is to play one note, and without playing the second note exactly, you sing along, exactly go, ah. Now you check to your intonation. Ah, I'm a little sharp. I say, okay, I'm a little sharp. I need to bring it down. Use the piano, an in-tune piano or a keyboard to check your intonation, or how in tune you are for intonation. We don't think about that as pianists, like vocalists and wind players and brass players do, but for this exercise you want to think about that. Once you get comfortable doing those notes separately, think about playing them together, and then see if you can sing just one of the notes. So maybe the top note, and then the lower note. Once you get comfortable with that, sing just the bottom note, or excuse me, play just the bottom note, and then sing the top note. Exactly. And then, if I play the top note, you got it. Exactly. Good, good, good. And then this is a process you can do. Now, another thing you can do is if you know another friend who's a musician, they don't have to be a vocalist, just somebody who knows music and understands that. Just say, I want to practice harmonizing these vocals with you, and you play them at the piano. Some intervals are going to be more consonant, and so they're going to be more pleasing and easier to hear, like thirds, major thirds and minor thirds. Some are going to be more dissonant, like major seconds. It's going to be hard to sing. You can hear that dissonance. Minor seconds, very dissonant. Right? So that takes a little more practice. So start when you're doing these with the thirds and practice on different combinations of notes. Don't just do C. Always say, what's a major third above E? Right? Or whatever. And then the opposite. So major third, ascending, descending. And then also doing different registers to hear. Because a major third up here, the frequencies are actually closer together or narrower than they are actually down here. But they're measured the same. They're both major thirds and they're both the same notes on the piano.